They call me Dan, the Lakers fan. And I got a master plan for the Lakers back to the promised land. Spread the vision through my people, cause we fans are equal. When we reach 20K subs, yeah, we gon' drop a sequel. Another Laker anthem track, watch me run it back. Got the keys to the city where my Laker jet.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy DTLF back with another video. And guys, today I got a special one for you because we have a special guest here, man. My good friend, Joe Burton. How you doing today, brother? How you doing?
What's up, man? I'm blessed. How is everybody doing?
Man, doing amazing, brother. And, I'm so excited to have you here today, man, to talk about your brand new book, Basketball is Like Life, man. It's just a wonderful book, really getting into this. And I want to get your thoughts on some of the things on here and so much more, and maybe into a little Laker basketball since you're such a diehard yourself. But let's kick it off, man. First off, I want to say congrats on the book, Joe, and being here, sending me a copy. I've been able to kind of dive into it, and I want to ask, man, what was your thought process creating this awesome book, and what was the main reason you decided to do it?
Yeah, first of all, man, thank you so much for having me on your channel. It's really an honor and a privilege to be able to be over here with you. So I spent the last 10 years coaching basketball from kids, literally ages 5 to college age kids and adults. And I started noticing there's a lot of coaches that are good coaches, man, and they teach X's and O's, which we need those. But then I started noticing myself that I was doing more than just teaching X's and O's. I was really trying to inspire the next generation of hoopers. And so I started as I was do drills and as I was teach concepts, I would be like, oh, that actually applies to more things than just basketball. And so out of that birthed the idea of basketball is actually like life. There's so many parallels. And so from there, I had the vision for the book, and I was like, let's just write the book, man, and see what happens.
That's awesome, bro. And to be honest, it was very inspiring because I myself have a lot of life experience, and I've thought of writing a book myself. So this really put things into perspective for me. And I'm like, man, this was an awesome book from you. Now, I got to ask you, 2017 NBA champ, Glenn Robinson III signed off on his book, to start it off. And I wanted to ask you, man, how did it feel to have this stamp of approval on your project, man? And how does it feel?
It was honestly such a privilege, bro. I obviously I self-published this, man. I self-published it. I did all the work for it. And I was like, I really would love to have somebody that is proven to really validate and sign off on this book. And friend of a friend connected me to Glenn, and I presented him the idea and the vision. I was like, man, I love what you've done. He actually has a nonprofit himself. And so I was like, man, what you do is in alignment with the book. Would you be interested? And he's like, oh, heck yeah. He signed off quick, man. He's actually in Dubai playing right now in pro overseas. And so, man, I've been able to connect with him on a personal level. He shares so many stories with me about playing with Steph and Clay, man. It's just been a blessing to have somebody who's actually done it to read my book and be like, yo, I actually can verify what you're writing is legit for us.
That is awesome, bro. Definitely certified right there. Now, really want to get a little more into this because you talk about, how big of an impact Kobe Bryant had in your life in this book. And I can definitely relate to it, man. I attribute most of my success to him as the only celebrity I ever personally looked up to, man. And you definitely expressed it in the book. But in your own words, Joe, what did Kobe Bryant and his Mamba mentality mantra, teachings mean to you personally?
Man, that's a really good question. So I wrote about it in my introduction, but the first Laker I really loved was Nick the Quick Van Exel. That was my guy, man. I talked about in the book how, Nick, if you really, really know Nick, he got in a car accident when he was young and his lip was a little bit here. And, I used to suck on my top lip to get it swollen like Nick. And, Nick was a lefty and I used to try to play like him. But when Kobe came into the league, man, it was something different. And I know, the Laker fans can attest, it was just something different about him. And man, like you said, I've never cried over celebrity, passing, or I've never felt it literally feels like we know Kobe. You know what I'm saying? It feels like we know him. Yeah. So just watching his career and his life, man, through the ups and downs on and off the court, Kobe's just so inspirational. Even to this day, he's just so inspirational how he faced adversity, how he overcame losses, how he, even in his personal life, overcame obstacles and challenges and still just came back time after time after time. And man, he's such an inspiration, just as his life, man. It's just been phenomenal to watch him.
Absolutely, bro. And to add to what you just said, man, he definitely was a part of the family. We watched a young 17-year-old kid come in to Los Angeles, and grow up with the community, with the city, mature over the years. My entire family cried when he passed, man. And matter of fact, me and my brother were watching the game together because we watched his entire career. My brother is older than me, so he's been a Laker fan before me. Shout out to, by the way, my brother's name is Joe as well. And so, this guy and me, we looked at each other. We was trying to fight back tears at his last day, man, versus the Utah Jazz when he retired, his final game. And that was just such a, all the memories just flashed through our mind. And it was a beautiful moment where we finally realized we've been spoiled all these years watching such a legend, and not just on the court, but off the court. Yeah. And for example, for me, man, Kobe had many iconic quotes throughout his career. One of my favorites was when he said on a Facebook post, right, over the beef he had with Smush Parker, the response that he had to the media pushing the bad teammate tag on him. He said, this is one of my favorite quotes in his career. He said, "I have nothing in common with lazy people who blame others for their lack of success." He says, "Great things come from hard work and perseverance. No excuses." Bro, that quote elevated my lifestyle in the way I am in my channel and the way I make no excuses, bro, over nothing. We were actually, me and you were chopping it up about when I got demonetized here a couple of years ago. Kobe's quotes and his example helped me through my life, and that's what I think that's what made Kobe Bryant so endearing to me personally, is just that the fact that he would never lower his standards to accommodate someone else. Instead, if people want his respect, they would have to elevate, themselves to meet his high standards and expectations. And that's the way he led, man, by example.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good point, Dan. I feel like sometimes we settle, we settle as people, even whatever. So when I wrote this book, one of my objectives was for it to be applicable for every area of your life. Whether you're a mom, whether you're in basketball, whether you do business like yourself, podcasts, I wanted it to be applicable, every lesson to be able to relate. And so I think the things that Kobe taught us with that mindset was just nah, man, I'm going to succeed and I'm going to win. And if you're not with it, I'm going to leave you behind. That's just who he was. And it wasn't in a disrespectful way, but he just wanted it so bad. Not that he would step on you to get there, but he's just not going to settle for anything less than the best. And I think that's something that we could take with us in whatever we do in our lives, whether it's sports or business or finance. The desire to be the best has to be at the forefront. And that's what Kobe taught us.
Yeah, absolutely. And another great example of that was the way Powell reached his new heights when he got here. The levels of greatness was pulled out of him, man, from the moment he landed here in Los Angeles. So the very first night, it looked like they had played forever, man. I still remember behind the back pass Kobe who were we playing? I think it was it Utah or was it Brooklyn? We were on the road that night, and I remember Kobe just whipping a behind the back pass to Powell and Powell finishing, and I was like, whoa, that chemistry was second to none, man. But again, that's what greatness looks like. Do you have any personal favorite quotes or stories, from Kobe that you'd like to share outside of course, in this book you shared plenty, but
yeah. So it's actually not a quote or anything like that, but for me, the thing that stood out to me was Kobe, and you remember this, man, when we lost to Boston in 2008, that seeing Kobe walk off the court and just tears, it really I wanted to see how he responded, because Kobe's talked and he's a winner. Let's see how he responds. And the fact that he came back and just was relentless. Even think about a year later when we made it to the Western Conference Finals, we were about to play Orlando. Look at the response. They were just stoic because they were just about business, because Kobe was so focused about winning that championship. Because in my book, similarly related, in my book, I talk about when I was coaching AAU basketball, and I went to a game of some 12U kids, and one team was getting blown out really bad. And I remember the scores table, they erased the scoreboard. And I was like, why is it 0-0? And so after the game, I asked them, and they said they didn't want to embarrass or humiliate the other team. And so they erased the score to make it 0-0. And so for me, that really stood out, because I felt when you take an L in your life, you have to feel it, you have to feel it, because if you don't really feel that loss, or you hide it or sweep it under the rug, you don't really get an opportunity to grow from it. And I think seeing Kobe take a big L like that on the road, pouring Gatorade during the game, it was so embarrassing and humiliated. But Kobe was the type of guy that he was gonna use that as fuel and motivation. And I think for us as people, whatever we do, if we were able to take the pain and the agony of losing or taking an L in our life and use it as fuel, man, we could be even better. And you saw what happened where he went back to back and won 2 championships and was able to get redemption.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Great example, by the way. And yeah, some of my favorite people that I've ever looked up to, Kobe was the main one. I really didn't look up to many, but Bruce Lee was another one. I always like to make this comparison. I always say Kobe Bryant was the Bruce Lee of basketball because it was a way of life, man.
Yeah.
And Bruce Lee also talks about failures and losing and really it's not really a loss, it's learning, So I think your book beautifully personified that and you use plenty of examples from Tim Duncan to trust in the process of Philadelphia and all these great again, if you're a basketball fan, guys, go pick up this book today, man. The link is right there in the chat. Shout out to Kimiko for posting it. And like Solo said, losses are a learning experience. If you could take your L, you can survive. You can't survive if you can't take an L. So you're absolutely right, Joe. Now I want to ask you a little bit more about the Lakers, man, because when I see Luka, when I see Austin Reeves and players like Kyrie that are great, you see Mamba disciples, right? That Kobe would be proud of. What are your thoughts on these guys, man? The Mamba disciples, the next lineage.
I think watching Kyrie, it's actually he's probably the closest example to somebody that's like a Mamba disciple. It's just his mindset personified, bro. It's different. Like when I look at modern players, one of the modern players I think like reminds me of like a little Kobe is Ant. Like I just feel like he's just a dog. He's a dog. He doesn't care about your feelings. He doesn't care how he makes you feel. Like even think about when they beat us in the playoffs last year, right? There was a pivotal moment, and I don't think a lot of people noticed it. Is when Ant went and set a dirty screen on LeBron. He checked him, bah! And he was really just letting them know, like, hey, I'm here. We're not going nowhere. Like, if you're gonna beat us, you're gonna have to go through me. And I set the tone. And that's something that we saw Kobe do, talking about Powell, right? He did it to his teammate in the Olympics to show, like, nah, I'm that serious about winning that I will check my teammate and put him on his butt to show how much I want to win and I don't care. And so I love to see it. And to be honest, there's not a lot left, man. There's not a lot left. You can probably count on one hand how many guys have that Mamba mentality left, and I think Ant's one of them. Kyrie's definitely one of them. And there's probably a couple others. But yeah, I love to see it, man. It gives you that nostalgia feeling like, there's still a piece of Kobe with us.
Yeah, I agree. 110%. I know Ant and the Timberwolves eliminated us. A lot of people started hating on him because of that. But I can't take that personal because we saw a lot of what Kobe was in Ant. We see that mindset. We see that cockiness of sorts, that you see that young cockiness, and he'll eventually mature similar to the way Kobe did. But he's a special talent for sure, man. I definitely see a lot of that killer. Now he does it with more of a joy. But I see a lot of that killer in Luka Doncic, bro. I see a lot of that killer, man. And we know LeBron's Luka's favorite player, but he also is a Kobe disciple. The best players study the best players. And he's mentioned Kobe Bryant many, many times. And I'll tell you, man, we're so blessed to get Luka because I didn't think they'd ever put him up on the trading block like that, bro. What was your thoughts on when we acquired Luka? Like,
let me back up a little bit. I remember when we got AD, right? We were driving the car. I got out of the car. I was in downtown LA and I was running up the street. I was like, we got AD. It's crazy. The Luka one, like, I'm sure like everybody else, I didn't believe it. We thought Shams got hacked. But like to get prime Luka, I love AD, man. I'm an AD guy through and through, but man, to get prime Luka, 25 years old at the time, it's incredible. And it's honestly a privilege. We've said it, to be a Laker fan, like the greats that we've had from Jerry West and Elgin Baylor to Kareem, Magic, and Worthy to Shaq, Kobe, Powell, LeBron, AD, and now Luka. Man, we're blessed as a fan base to be able to witness this in real time.
Absolutely, man. And we're spoiled too, because LA fans, come on, man. We got the Dodgers out here. And I know we're down in the series right now. We played it later on tonight. We just have so much great talent in Los Angeles always, man. It's a melting pot of talent, and it's a beautiful thing, man. What's up, everybody in the chat? Good to see you guys, man. Here with my special guest, Joe Burton, man, who just released a wonderful book. I implore you guys to check it out. Now, I really love in this book, man, how you mention, failure and how you test your players, as a coach to see how they respond. I know you have amazing examples and quotes in this book, but for the listeners of this channel, what's the best way to respond to universal failure, whether that's on a basketball court or in life? What would you say to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So my chapter 1 is actually called there's a lesson in every L, right? Because failure and loss is really about perspective. And so, I'm not really big on cliches, the glass is half empty, half full, but I think there's a lot to be said regarding failure, because we are gonna, if you haven't taken a big L in your life yet, you will. You're gonna fail at something: business, family, relationships, a lot of stuff, morally. Like we're gonna fail. And I think one of the more important things about failure is taking a step back and seeing the big picture, because sometimes when we're in the middle of failure, it's hard to see the other side. It's hard to see, like, Dan shared with me what he was going through a couple of years ago with his YouTube channel. And when you're in the middle of it, it's like, man, is this ever going to end? But really, like, if you really and truly take failure as a lesson, think about my first chapter. I talk about Kobe and his 4 air balls against Utah. Now, for a regular player, that could have broken them and ended their confidence and stuff. But immediately after the game, Kobe identified what the issue was. And I think when we do that, when we fail, you identify where you went wrong and then correct it. Like, he was like, I didn't have enough legs, so let me strengthen my legs and let me get my jump shot stronger, so that way I won't fail like that again. And here's the irony. This is the dope part of how, like, sometimes God works. But Kobe failed against Utah Jazz. He airballed 4 times. Lakers were eliminated. Fast forward to his last game of his career, it was against the Utah Jazz, and so he was able to get his full circle moment. So I think when we fail, sometimes we'll get another opportunity to make right where we wronged or where we failed. And if we use what we learned and apply it, we could win and we can get better.
Oh, absolutely, bro. And I mean, bro, beautifully said. I really love chapter 8, and how you mentioned The Pursuit of Happiness, the movie, one of my favorite personal movies, Will Smith, and how you tied that to consistency and how you have to keep pushing and persevere, even when nobody's watching and clapping and cheering. So no, you're absolutely right about failure, man. We've all tasted it, including myself, and it is something you have to learn from. And like you said, it's good to feel it through and through, because you learn. When you don't feel it, when you don't take an L fully, like you said, they wiped off the scoreboard and all that in your situation. When you don't feel it, it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a gun wound. You're eventually going to bleed out. It's not going to fix it. You know what I mean? You have to feel it. You have to be able to fix it. You have to be able to address it then and there. And that way you can move on forward, man.
It's funny on that note about Band-Aids. I remember when I was in 6th grade, my parents didn't like me doing a lot of crazy stuff. So one day I had my bike and we stacked up books. You probably did this before. You stacked up books with like a little plywood, and we were doing wheelies. Doing wheelies and jumping off. And I remember I fell and I scraped my shoulder really bad, and I didn't want my parents to know. So I remember I put a bunch of Band-Aids and I tried to hide it from them. But what happened was it ended up getting infected, and it became worse than it was supposed to be, because I tried to hide it. And so, like, failure, you have to expose it. And failure, you have to show up and just sit in your failure. And that's the only way to grow.
Dude, that is an awesome example. Let me tell you, man, a lot of things happened to me like that when I was a kid, where I tried to hide something. It came back to slap me in the face later on. So it's unfortunate, but you're absolutely right, man. And we have a question here from my guy Solo. He says, Coach, how can I improve my handles?
Yeah, so he talked about it in my chapter 8 about consistency. It's really just, honestly, like, it sounds very boring and cliche, but it's really just doing ball handling until it becomes a part of life, second nature. I know Dan plays ball, I play ball. And so, like, what I teach the athletes that I train, it's really just about consistency. And really, like, it's doing the little things and the boring things, dribbling, just pounding the ball, crossovers. Like, it's just a lot of consistency. In the book, I use an example in my chapter about consistency. I talk about the gym, and this kind of relates is, sometimes we want results instantly, and it doesn't happen like that, because really success often happens in a crock pot, which it takes time, but we want success in a microwave. But I think, like, think about the gym. Like, wouldn't it be dope if we could go to the gym and just lift for like 4 hours and then we're just buff, right? But it doesn't work like that. You got to go 30 minutes today and 30 minutes tomorrow and 30 minutes the next day. And then you stack those days, and that's where success and change happens and growth happens, not by just doing it one time and thinking, oh, where's my results? And I think sometimes we get discouraged because we don't see our results right away, but success just doesn't happen like that for most people.
You're very wise, Coach. You're very wise. Absolutely. And if I could add to that, to give you advice, Solo, on your handles, for me, what has worked, and I'm telling you, it has worked. I went to the park and started. I felt like Kyrie in his prime. The kids were calling me Kyrie. Ball hog gloves, man. I bought me a pair, and I bought my whole family a pair of ball hog gloves. It worked tremendously. Now, you don't need it. Like, if you don't have for whatever reason you can't get them, you can always tie a bag around your hand. It's the old school thing, you know.
Oh yeah, man.
You know, it'll mess up your handle. So when you actually have the grip of the ball, it just changes everything, bro. It's like you handicap yourself to get better, and then once the reins come off, you're gonna dominate. So for me, ball hawk gloves have helped tremendously with my handles and even my finishing ability around the basket and a little fundamentals and stuff like that. Left-handed layups, right-handed layup. The ball hawk gloves, man, have changed my life. Do you use any sort of tools like that with your players, or is it just strict consistency?
Yeah, just straight ball handling things. One of the things I try to put them in situations where they're forced to think, because I think sometimes the cone drills and all that stuff could be detrimental because we start to play very mechanical and like robots. And so putting them in situations where they have to think, I think I'm learning that it helps the players to become on the spot more Kyrie-ish, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, bro. I think you're a great coach. I've seen the way you train your son. I've seen the clips you used to post on Twitter, and I will show my little nephew because, you know, my little nephew, you know, he can sometimes have a work ethic, and sometimes he can, you know, like we all do. Sometimes we can be a little lazy, but I'll tell you, man, it's impressive, and I want to hoop with you one day, bro. I know we got to do it. I know we're busy people, but eventually we got to make time because me and Coach Joe, man, we're gonna go at it whether we team up or we play each other. So it'll be a lot of fun. Now back to your book really quick. I want to say, you know, what is one of the main messages you want people to walk away with, you know, after reading this book, Basketball is Like Life? What is one of the main things you want them to come away with?
Absolutely. So I think, so chapter 2, and so like for those of you who don't know, like kind of what I did with the book is every chapter, you can't really see it, but every chapter has artwork. So my second chapter is called Trust the Process, and it's centered around the 76ers. And I think that the concept of trusting the process is really cool. Like think about the Sixers and, you know, how they were really, really bad, you know, and they wanted to, they came up with this concept called trust the process, where they would trade away their good players, stack up on draft picks, and eventually build up a roster the way they wanted to. And they were, you know, one Kawhi shot away from getting to the finals, that shot that bounce, one of the craziest shots we've ever seen. But I think the concept of trusting the process is something that is so important for us to learn because we all want to succeed in something. You know, we want to be great at YouTube. We want to be great at basketball. We want to be great at parenting. But again, success takes time. And this is where people get discouraged. It's in the in-between time, right? In the waiting room, I talk about, like when you go to the doctor and you're sitting in the waiting room and then they take you to another waiting room and it's like, when is this going to happen? I think that's where a lot of people give up, and a lot of people quit because it gets hard waiting. And so I think if anything, like all this stuff is important, but if we don't learn how to trust that process or whatever's happening to your life, we can get discouraged and get off course. So trusting the process, man, if we could learn how to just like sit back and just be patient for your turn. Like I see people all the time, like, when am I going to get married? Or when am I going to get that job? Or when am I, like, if we continue to just to stay diligent in the small things, bigger things will eventually open, but you just got to stay consistent.
I absolutely can attest to that. Absolutely, man. And I've been doing YouTube for about almost 8 years. And I'll tell you, man, the first couple of years, it was just a hobby for me. I didn't do it consistently. I can attest to everything you're saying. It was just because I had like 2 jobs at the time. So this was a side thing. Like when I felt like talking about the Lakers, I would come on here and talk about them. Eventually got to the point though, where, you know, the hobby became a passion. And the passion became an obsession, and the obsession became, you know, just every day thinking of how I can improve, how I can get better, how I can continue to give the people what they want. And that is how you get better, man, over time. Like I said, I've done this 8 years, but I can say religiously, I've been working on this channel for about 5 to 6 years, hard.
How long did it take you to see really like that turn of success, like that when that tipping point happened, when you really start like, whoa, like this could be big?
So my first year, I had like my first year where I actually went hard, I got like 2,000 subs. That was when I was like, whoa, 2,000 people want to listen to my opinion about the team I love, which is what I love to do, right? So it's not work for me because I love doing it. But where I really started putting in the work is, okay, they want to listen to me, but how can I continue to grow while being myself? Because I remember, bro, one of my first, and I'll say really quick little story. One of my first moments that tested me was when I predicted something, because I've always been good at predicting things just based off of reading the tea leaves and just being objective about things, right? I predicted D'Lo would get traded once we got Magic Johnson. I remember saying that on the live stream, and getting so much hate for it, man. So much hate. Like people are saying, you're not a real Laker fan. Go, they was telling me horrible things like kill yourself. They were saying some of the worst things because player fandom was just starting to grow back then.
Yeah.
And so I remember like telling my girl, like, damn, babe, like I thought they loved me. People starting to hate on me now. Should I remove the video? And I remember that conversation and my girl being, no, just do you. Be yourself. Not everybody's gonna love you.
Mm-hmm.
Be yourself and just be, continue to stay consistent. That was a turning point for me where I started to see success because guess what? A week later after I make this prediction, D'Lo gets traded to the Brooklyn Nets.
And you look like a prophet.
Yeah. Yeah. So now it was like the name was born. Dastradamus, all these nicknames.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hate turned to love and love turned to admiration. And so all I did was just really, I dealt with adversity by talking to my family, my girl, and then just listening to myself as well and being like, you know what, now they hate it, so be it. This Mamba mentality. You got to come out here and just be yourself, man. No matter what, and trust me, man, I've garnered tons of love and tons of hate. But at the end of the day, I'm happy knowing that I'm true to myself. It's what I was telling you before the video started is that, I've gotten tons of offers, but they prevent me from being myself. So I can't accept them, and as grateful as I am for those offers, I just got to always get what got me here and continue to do that and expand that. So yeah, man. And again, I can relate to your book a lot. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Always when I get a book, I never know if I'm going to enjoy it, but once I open and start reading it, you see what it's all about. And it's so relatable, Joe, that I was like, man, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And that is how, like I said, thank you so much for the book and all of that. Switching topics a little bit, gotta ask, man, because we're 5 games into the season. As a Laker fan, I know you're a diehard like me and the rest of the chat here. I gotta ask, man, what are your thoughts on this team thus far, and how far do you think we can go?
So I'm gonna be honest. I didn't come into this season with a whole lot of expectation, but I really like what I'm seeing from DeAndre Ayton. I think he's a steal of free agency. He's not, I wouldn't call him a tier A, but he's right there. He's solid. And I think one of the things that he's done that's really helped us is his ability to make that 10 to 15 footer, because he's a lob threat and he's also could space a little bit at the free throw line. So he's very difficult to guard. I like what I see from him. I think Marcus Smart, even though he's been limited in the games that he's played so far, he brings the toughness and the grit that we really need at the point of attack position. He reminds me of a guy that, we got Ron Artest, we got Matt Barnes, guys like that are just gritty and tough. Like we need guys like that. And Austin Reeves, man, what can you say? We knew this because we've seen him from the beginning, but I honestly did not see this happening like this. And I feel like, once Luka, he's questionable for tonight, but once he gets back and the team gets healthy and the LeBron guy comes back, what I'm saying? We could really, really be good. And I think the Lakers are still not done. I think there may be some movements that we can make before the trade deadline or even at the buyout like we always do. But honestly, I think that this team is right in the mix with the OKCs and the Denvers and, the Houstons. I think this Laker team could really make some noise in the playoffs.
The great minds think alike. I think exactly how you think. I believe we're going to make some sort of a move to shore up some of the little minor details we still have with this team. But you're absolutely right about that. And my guy Solo says, I don't know, Coach. He says, Ayton's been kind of underwhelming to me. I guess I'm spoiled with all the great bigs we have played for the Lakers. I'll tell you this, Solo. He's 15-10. From a veteran's minimum contract, that's a wholly underpaid to me, personally. We didn't have 15-10 after we traded AD away. So for me, he's living exactly to what I thought he would be. What do you think of Ayton, Coach? Like, do you think he's underwhelming, or do you think he's living up to the contract?
Nah, like I said, I think he's a steal to the draft. I think, we got him for the low, and anything he gives us, honestly, is a win. Like this point, because we're starting Jackson Hayes, after we traded AD, and so I like Jackson, what he brings off the bench, but he's not a starting caliber center. I think Ayton is like it's the thing is like with Ayton, the biggest difference maker is what is his motor going to be? Is he going to be motivated? If he's motivated, and he has been so far, I think he's incredible. Like he's actually protecting the rim a little bit. He's putting some effort in rebounding. I think he'd do a little bit better, but he's actually putting some effort in rebounding. And man, I look at his body language and his morale looks high right now. Obviously, it's early in the season. There's going to be ebbs and flows, but for the price that we got him for, I think he's incredible. Like you said, we got lucky. We got blessed.
Absolutely. And to add to what you just said about Ayton, he's got a soft touch around the basket, a beautiful mid-range that we hadn't seen too much since he left Arizona in the NBA, but we're starting to see it, man. That those pick and pop plays with between him and Austin Reeves are bread and butter, man, looking like Nash and Stoudemire, you know. And I think, you know, like you said, bang for the buck. I think he's a steal. He's exactly where I thought he would be, coach, right now. And he's only going to get better when LeBron comes back, when Luka comes back. All the attention those guys get is going to free up so much for him to be able to pull up for some wide open looks, and even right next to the basket, you know, like you said, lob threat. I mean, he is, I think, somebody who's going to extend beyond this year with the Lakers. I think we're looking at our future center. I think the relationship him and Luka are going to build with Austin. I think we have to start building a foundation. We see that with guys like Rui, who he's been on trade rumors year after year, but he's still here, right? And it's paying dividends. You see, he's playing a lot better this year. You know, I think this team will continue to get better. But I agree with you, Coach, and I've been saying this all year. I still feel like we're one tiny little move or two away from being a true championship contender, and when that happens, we'll see it, and we're gonna be like, there it is.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. Now, as a coach, I gotta ask you, what do you think of JJ so far in the job he's done as the Lakers head coach, man, coach to coach?
I love JJ. I think, you know, when we talk about Mamba mentality, I think he's kind of, you know, when you're like Kobe, you're kind of like a maniac. He's a little bit maniacal. Like JJ, like, is a guy where like he'll lose and he won't sleep all night. Like, I love that. You know, because he's serious about the craft, and I think as players they respect that much more because he's number one, he's a player coach. He's been there and experienced it, but also he's like literally studying his craft and he wants to be the greatest. And I think it's transparent, you know, and not no slight to any previous coaches, but to see a coach that's really like precise with the X's and O's, it's beautiful to see. Like I'm a nerd, and I know you are too. Like I geek out to watching X's and O's, and especially as a coach, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. And it's beautiful to watch. Sideline out of bounds are beautiful. Baseline, like he's running good sets, and he really cares about the game. Like if you know, I talked about that earlier. There's like coaches that really care, and he's one of those coaches, and it shows. And caring is part of it, but really being knowledgeable is another thing. And he's learning. And I think the great thing that they did for him, which they didn't do for Darvinham, is they surrounded him around assistants that are former head coaches that have the experience that he doesn't have. And I think that's been the difference maker.
Yeah, I love Scott Brooks and Nate McMillan. I think those guys are great. And yeah, dude, I think as far as JJ, I've been hard on him because I didn't like the playoff stubbornness last year. You know, when he stuck with certain rotations that just weren't working. I also didn't like, you know, I've been hard on him because I didn't like the fact that he started Gabe Vincent at the 2. And we're going small. Like, that bothers me just because I'm old school and I like size on my roster at all times, just so you can match it with different looks, right? Especially when you play teams like the Timberwolves. I thought the reason we beat them this last time, or the last 2 times, the last time was because Jake was huge. And the one thing about Jake is he's 6'7", 6'8", you know, so it's like a huge difference in having somebody like a Gabe out there. So, but I agree. Other than that, I definitely like his work ethic. I like his ATOs, man. Out of timeout plays have been awesome. We almost guaranteed a bucket after every timeout, almost, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's beautiful, and he's going to continue to get better. He did win 50 games last season, and so I've given him some grace, even when I've been hard on him. But I do like Coach, and I hope that he's here for a long time.
No, I was going to say, I think it's good that we have some consistency because, you know, over the past, X amount of years, like our coaching carousel has been going around in circles, and like to have a coach that's locked in and like committed to the organization, the organization's committed to him, it kind of gives some comfort. Like, okay, let's build something like they have in Miami with Spoelstra. Like, there's not a lot of organizations that have a coach that are like staples, like we have with Dave Roberts, you know, or Sean McVay. Like, we don't. There's not a lot of franchises that have a coach that's my coach, you know.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. And like you said, stability. You got to build that stability, and that way, you know, moving forward, we have an identity. Because for the longest, after Phil Jackson retired, we didn't have an identity. You know, we started getting a little bit of an identity when we have Frank Vogel as a defensive team that gets out in transition and does things, but we lost that when we fired him. So, yeah, I agree with you, man, and hopefully he sticks around. I'm going to answer your question, Dakin, really briefly, only because I don't want to take away too much attention from Coach Joe and his wonderful book. But he said, what do you think will happen with the hierarchy of decision-making now that the sale has been completed? And you're talking about the sale to Mark Walter, our brand new owner of our Los Angeles Lakers, man, which, by the way, I'm very excited about, Joe. I got to tell you, I'm excited because I think this guy is a no-nonsense guy. I think he wants to win now. We've seen what he did with the Dodgers, and I think we'll see similar with the Lakers. I think none but positive things. You want to elaborate on this a little bit, Joe?
Yeah, I think what a lot of people don't understand is like it's not like he's not going to come in and they're going over the salary cap. Like that's not going to be something that happens, but not like that. But what you're going to see is things around the margin. You're going to see the analytics go up. You're going to, because I think the Lakers are one of the worst teams with analytics, and having a lot of their staff doing multiple roles, which kind of doesn't allow you to be super effective. And so I think they're going to get people in positions to really lead and restructure the organization. And I think we're going to see change fast, honestly. Like you said, I think like he's a no-nonsense guy. He believes in the winning culture that we see with the Dodgers. And I think there's nothing, you're not going to expect anything less than that with the Lakers as well. And I'm really excited, man. You already saw what happened with the locker room. Like they renovated that thing. And I think the training staff, the training facilities are just going to upgrade.
And it also sends a message, to add to what you just said, which is all accurate. It also sends a message to free agents. Hey, look, we have a guy who's willing to pay whatever in order for you guys to win. Whether you need the resources in those locker rooms, the staff, if you need the statisticians, whatever you need, he's going to get it for you, and he's going to go the extra mile. And like you said, man, no nonsense. He is going to be awesome. I am excited. I'm always going to be grateful for the Bus family because they are the greatest sports family in sports history, starting with Dr. Bus, God rest his soul. But, it happens, man. It happens. And at the end of the day, I'm just glad that somebody who knows how to win is in power. And that's what's the most important thing there. All right, back to your book, bro. What kind of feedback have you gotten from family and friends, who have read this book? And how does it make you feel, man, to get their validation?
It's been great. I had actually a book release with close friends and family, and everybody showed up and supported. And it was special, man, because and I want to encourage you, man, if you want to write a book, bro, write your book, man. Like, write it, man. You got it. But to write a book is really hard. It took me a year to really write. And then even throughout the process, it was a struggle because you're like I'm sure you've dealt with at the beginning of your channel. Do people want to hear what I have to say about Laker basketball? And it was a struggle for me. I'm like, do people want to read what I have to say? And I was battling with that discouragement, but I was like, I'm just going to do it. And the response has been great, man. Like the success that I'm seeing is phenomenal. I'm starting to focus on basketball teams, like high school teams. Also, teams are starting to do team orders. And man, a lot of people on Twitter bought books, and it's just been phenomenal. They bought hats. The basketball is like hats. And the support has been just humbling, honestly humbling. And I'm super grateful for everyone that supported so far.
Absolutely. And I got to add, as a friend of yours, man, I got to say, man, I really love this book so far, man. And all the examples and stories you use to connect the dots between basketball, life, disciplines, how to learn from them. I really liked all the examples of the players' experiences of failure and triumph, and it's so simple yet detailed. And I got to say, guys, if you're a basketball fan, period, or not, and you just want to improve in life, man, this is definitely a must buy. You get my stamp of approval, man, for sure. But finally, man, I got to let you know, go ahead and let the people know where to get this book and where they can find you on socials, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a website, and check out the website. It's basketballislikelife.com. And on there, you can see, promo videos that I've done, pictures that have been taken with people who have bought the book, but really just kind of giving the story on how the book came about. You can buy a book there. You can also buy snapback hats. But also, Dan, I want to give you 2 books to give away to some of your listeners, your viewers. So if you can figure out how to randomly get away 2 books, just let me know, and I'll send them to you to them free of charge. And I just want to be a blessing to the channel as well. But yeah, basketballislikelife.com. 12 chapters, and I think you would like it, man. If you like sports, it's for you. If you don't like sports, I think it'll still speak to you and challenge you and inspire you to be great in every area of life.
Absolutely. You know what? We're gonna run a giveaway here over. Whenever we get those books, we're gonna run them and make sure we go ahead and promote it as much as we possibly can, because it is well deserved, man. The success you're gonna get on this book, bro, is well deserved, and proud of you, man. Keep doing your thing, and I'll let you go. But before I do, we got one more question from you from a fan. He said, "Hey, coach, what kind of advice would you give guys struggling like Dalton Connect?"
Yeah. So when you struggle, especially in basketball, you have to just keep shooting. I use an example in the book, actually similarly related. Finding Nemo, you just keep swimming, right? You just keep swimming and you just keep swimming. And the same thing applies to basketball, which is the same thing that applies to life, is you got to keep shooting, because the only way to get through a slump is to get through the slump, right? If you have to change, you have to grow, you have to evolve, but you have to keep shooting, because eventually those shots will fall. And we saw that with the last game. Like, I understand with him, like, his confidence was shot. I get it, man. Feeling unwanted, like, Drew, you just traded me and it got rescinded. Like, you don't want me here. And so I get it. But at the same time, like, he's a professional, and in life, when that happens, we just have to keep shooting.
Lovely, man. And you know what? I think if people want your autographed book, man, they're saying, can I get one autograph, Joe? There you go. There you have it.
For sure.
I was blessed enough to get mine autographed, so I appreciate that, guys. But yeah, absolutely, Joe. Again, thank you so much for coming on, brother. And you're awesome as always. Again, pick up Basketball is Like Life, guys. Kimiko posted, and she's blasting the link all over. I will also post the link right after this video is done in the comment section and in the description, so you guys can check out your own copy. And we will be doing 2 giveaways, compliments of our good friend Joe here. Again, thank you so much for joining, brother. It's gonna wrap it up for us, man. And go pick up the book today, guys. All right.
Thank you guys so much. Take care.
All right, brother. Have a good one. And thank you guys for tapping in, guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button. I will be live for pregame later on tonight. I think the game's at 6:30 Pacific, so I'll be live at 5:30. Lakers versus Grizzlies. I think today's a play-in tournament, but happy Halloween to anybody who celebrates it. And I hope to see you guys here later on. Joe, signing off, man. Again, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, guys. Peace.